So the amount of crash outs and shit that people have had over fucking these Pokemon people, oh my God, it's been fucking funny to watch. Stop having fun? Yeah, it's so funny. Watching them totally lose it.
We're drama farming today. Yeah, that's right.
I'm ready. That's why I'm here. I'm good.
Back because apparently Power World is broken people's minds instead of just celebrating the game for the success that it's found.
Yeah, it did well.
Also for the fact that Nintendo finally has a real competitor for Pokemon.
Yeah.
No, you have people that have fallen into psychosis, a deep level of coping that we never even thought was possible. Scientists need to study this thing because, man,
Figure
is
out what the
it
fuck's wrong with them.
horrendous.
Yeah.
In the face of Power World's continued success, and oh man, is it successful, these people just won't let it be. Power World derangement syndrome, where regardless of the facts that are right in front of them, this
the reason
game...
why is they've invested so much emotions and caring into Pokemon that they can't bring themselves to acknowledge that Pokemon isn't perfect because they've been obsessed with it for 20 years. So it's like sunk cost fallacy.
Has to constantly be under attack. You have people accusing Power World and Pocket Pair of walking into Nintendo's offices and stealing assets right off of their desks.
Smart.
You got some people that are saying that regardless of what you're seeing online, don't believe a damn thing because this game, it's actually a failure. It's a flop. It's a laughing stock in most countries.
They're calling it Flop World.
You guys just don't see it because it's not real.
Yeah.
And even if this game is popular, well, the only reason why is because of internet grifters and YouTubers. Thank you.
They're probably thinking about me. Like, anytime that I play a video game, like, my Power World videos were really popular. Like, they had, like, millions of views and shit. And they really did not like that. People did not like the fact that I played that game. They were fucking furious. And, like, especially whenever it first came out. Oh, my God.
That are only rallying the troops and trying to get people to play this game.
They have the same energy for
one
Digimon.
reason.
Yeah, they were kind of negative about Digimon.
To make Pokemon fans mad.
Yep.
Guys, that's just a side benefit. The
That's
ego on
bonus.
these guys
It's a
is just
cherry on
absolutely absurd. What
Icing
many
on
people
the
fail to
cupcake.
realize is the vast majority of people that are playing Power World right now, they're Pokemon fans or former Pokemon fans. Or they're people that have always wanted to get into one of these games, but maybe it just didn't suit them for whatever reason. It wasn't mature enough, maybe. Or maybe, I don't know, they just didn't want to have to buy a whole console just to be able to do so. Nintendo is the one that opened this door. They're the ones that let Power World through. That needs to be recognized. So today, we're going to roll around in the mud a little bit. Maybe sling a little.
It's so obvious that Pokemon fell off, too. Like, I know the cards are super popular, bro. I got people telling me I got to open boxes of cards and shit on my stream. I might even do it. But, like, the games are just terrible.
A little bit of it ourselves. We're going to set the record straight, and we're going to talk about how Power World's success isn't even over yet. Hell, it's probably not even begun.
Yeah.
This thing's only going to get bigger. Normally, I don't circle back around to a topic. I like to stick and move when it comes to the things that I cover. But Power World continued to gain momentum over the weekend, and while my timeline has been filled with people that have been cheering on the game's success, there have been more people either defending Power World or documenting some of the highest grade meltdowns and coping that I've ever seen from the darkest corners of the Pokemon fandom. And I think that it is very important to make that distinction because I don't think that these conversations are coming from well-adjusted fans of the largest franchise in history. No, I think that they are coming from the most terminally millennial rejects that have not only made a franchise, but a multi-billion-dollar corporation their god and their identity. I'm talking about 40-year-olds with Pokemon trainer profile pictures staking out your local Costco and Target.
Yeah, bro, like, it's the scalpers, too. Like, they get so obsessed over this shit, it's embarrassing.
In their Vaporeon is my waifu t-shirt while they're in there in the early hours of the morning just so they can sumo.
Oh my God. Welcome to Pokemon 2026, where two grown 30-year-old men choke each other out in front of the Pokestop so they can get all the cards before the 9-year-olds can buy them.
Wrestle each other for a box of Pokemon cards out of the fear that a mom of a 10-year-old might want to buy a pack or two because her kid came home with a good report card. Palworld's success has broken these people. No game should ever or can ever come close to the franchise that they've dedicated their entire lives to. And as Palworld's success has continued, these people have only fallen deeper into depravity. Since my last video talking about the game, Palworld has somehow broken yet another milestone, climbing to a peak concurrent player count of over 960,000 players. That means Palworld has now entered the top 10 most played games in Steam's history twice over. First,
that's fucking insane. It's really fucking insane. Like, can you believe that? Oh my God.
By breaking Counter-Strike 2 with 2.1 million players, and then now by returning and breaking past Elden Ring. These numbers are absolutely insane. They are shared by some of the highest selling, most popular, and most prestigious games in the entire industry. But for whatever reason, some people have decided that that simply just is not enough. In response to the latest peak, one person had said, "This would be impressive if it had doubled the early access launch peak, but it is currently below 50% of its peak CCU, and with only 16K new user reviews added since 1.0, that means barely anyone playing Palworld right now is a new player." They then doubled down later.
Can you imagine they only sold 40 million copies? What if they never sell any more? What if Palworld's dead, guys? What if they only sold 40 million?
Saying that the game is completely and utterly a flop.
Palworld has completely... Oh my God, look at that fucking image. Jesus Christ.
In Japan, citing that Japanese player reviews only made up 1% of the game's 442,000 global reviews. This is what happens when somebody discovers SteamDB before they discover statistical literacy. They have the concurrent player counts, percentages, review totals, regional breakdowns. They got the whole forensic investigation laid out right in front of them, and yet somehow they understand less about Palworld's performance than somebody that looked at that chart for about 5 seconds. A non-live service game.
It's because they don't want to understand. Of course you can understand it. It's easy to understand, but they don't want to. They want to invent their own bullshit and then just push that. That's the reason why.
Bringing back nearly 1 million concurrent players years after its launch is statistically absurd. Even Elden Ring, one of the most celebrated games ever made, returned roughly 70% of its original peak with a massive expansion. Palworld returning nearly half of its historic 2.1 million players at its launch is not evidence of failure. It's evidence of an enormous existing audience returning alongside a flood of new players. And using 16,000 new reviews, or the percentage of Japanese language...
Well, this is like, that's the level that they're down to, bro. Like, they've got to talk about, like, the amount of new reviews and Japanese, like, downloads. Like, there's got to be some way they can cope. They might be genuinely this stupid. Don't listen to Pokeganda. Is that what it's called?
From a predominantly console-based country Pokemon to be able to calculate how many new people are actually playing the game is honestly ridiculous. With the vast majority of players never even leave a review. They cite the 442,000 global reviews accumulated over the course of 2 years, but Palworld sold 15 million copies on Steam in its first month alone.
Well, how many reviews does Pokemon have on Steam? How many reviews does Pokemon Legends ZA have on Steam? They would obviously 0 because it's on console too. So like these people would make the exact argument against what they're saying if it was something that was beneficial to them. These are the people that shouldn't be able to vote.
Back 2 years ago, even against that opening month number, reviews represent less than 3% of players. They are trying to measure an ocean with a shot glass, and they're writing it down to the 6th decimal place. Japan makes this argument even dumber. It is one of the weakest major markets for PC gaming.
You see how he cut the clip whenever he was about to capture it because he fucked up, he couldn't capture it? See, and he, like, you can tell, like, I watched the gameplay in the background, that's what he just did. You see, because he got the boss to 1 health.
Japan
and like the thing that is that like he had like look watch what happened.
Measure an ocean with a shot glass, and they're writing it down to the 6th decimal place. Japan makes this argument.
So he actually hit it for 24 health. So it actually had 1 health left. You see? And so the reason why he didn't want to show it is because this thing, he spawned it and it kills it. He didn't try to capture it. That's the pacifist ring. It's actually crazy. Like, honestly, guys, it really is crazy the fact that there are people in this on this chat that like I don't know. I don't know really. I think we might have to get rid of, like, this is, people here shouldn't vote either. So if you have the mercy ring and you hit a target that's below the health pool, there will be an indicator that shows and tells you that you just hit the mercy ring limit, and it would indicate that it was the mercy ring activated. You don't even know that. Mercy hit or some shit, that's a separate ability, and that's from the PAL.
Place. Japan makes this argument even dumber. It is one of the weakest major markets for PC gaming, with console players outnumbering PC players nearly 2-1 and mobile players nearly 4-1. Of course, Japanese Steam reviews are going to be disproportionately low. According to Famitsu, Resident Evil Requiem is the 7th most popular game of the year in Japan, yet only 986 of its more than 104,000 Steam reviews are actually in Japanese. That's not even 1%. So what are these people even doing? They are speaking.
Well, they're not trying to, damn, you shot that bitch in the head. So they're not trying to figure out what's going on. They're trying to make up some bullshit. That's what they're doing.
Absolute certainty about data that they never even tried to understand, let alone even verify. This is entry-level math, and this man is out here publishing Twitter dissertations like he completed the Human Genome Project because he just learned how to divide two numbers.
Yeah.
Then we have people who wouldn't even be bothered to misread the numbers because they would much rather just deny reality entirely.
Smart.
Some people are claiming that the only reason that Pal World surged over the weekend was because, well, YouTubers and their audiences were just playing the game out of...
It seems like YouTubers, interesting how Pal World has dropped so hard and so fast this Sunday. Seems like YouTubers just rallied their audiences to play the game this weekend to try to get the game over 1 million players, and they failed. Like, wait, what?
Fight. Other people said that, well, the creators once worked in crypto, so they just kind of decided that every positive post about the game is coming from bots, scammers, or some coordinated campaign. And when none of that works, well, then they just throw their hands up and ask why anyone cares at all. One Nintendo content creator had said, as people spam Pal World's live player count, I ask again, why any of us care? There are likely 15 million people playing Roblox right now. Nobody seems to care about that. It's just being used to argue online. I wish none of us...
Look at his name, Nintendo Prime.
...ever knew that metric.
I wish none of us ever knew the metric? Wait, so you want people to not know how many people are playing your game? Wait, why? Like, I could get that you don't care. I get that you don't have to care. But, like... You don't want people to know that?
The idea that people are only bringing up a number to argue it is hilarious, coming from the people that are actively arguing against that number. They care. They care so much that they desperately want everybody to stop looking at it. Why should we even know this metric is exactly what somebody would say when the scoreboard's still on and their team is getting blown out. That number matters because it gives us a real-time snapshot of how many people are playing a game at once. It helps us gauge how successful a game is, and we need that information because it's serving as a warning for how safe that game is for you to invest your time and your money into. As more games become dependent on live support, the last thing you want to do is buy into something that has no future. There are plenty of people...
It is true, too. That, like, you want to care about how many players a game has because it shows whether the game is going to be popular long-term. Like, if the game isn't going to be like, Marathon's a good example. Like, Marathon is, like, in the shitter, right? Like, New World was the same way. Like, the reason why the player count matters is the player count means what's going to... That's the future, right? The future of the game is that it's going to die. Like, that's just where it's going to go. And so that's the reason why people care. I mean,
saving their money right now because they didn't buy Marathon, even though there's a ton of people that are saying that, oh, it's one of the greatest games ever made,
Apparently
even though it's struggling to hold water. Only the most stalwart Nintendo fans could look at this situation and decide, you know what, the real problem is too much transparency.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'll tell you what. The real reason why people care about these numbers is the message they send. Exactly. Pokemon has spent years in...
Look at that, bro. Look at that. This is the most popular franchise of all time. This is what they did. The most popular video game franchise of all time.
years in squalor, putting in the least amount of
Look at
effort
that.
generation after generation while maximizing their profits the entire way through.
It's Anubis.
Pokemon is the largest media franchise in history, generating
Yep.
more than $100 billion in revenue
$100
by 2024.
billion. Wow.
And the only way that players are going to be able to make their voices heard over its loudest defenders and also its biggest spenders, people who seem completely happy with
at
just
this
eating
gameplay.
shit, is for
at this
another game to
gameplay.
come along with numbers that
this.
genuinely threaten it. Steam concurrent player counts give us those numbers, and on that top 10 peak concurrent list that I had shown, Palworld sits above
Because you
Cyber.
remember whenever Pokemon Coliseum came out, or Pokemon Stadium, whichever one was the Nintendo 64 one, like, you really thought that, like, I mean, like, whenever that shit came out, I thought that whenever I got older, I'd be playing a game like Palworld, but there'd be Pokemon in it. Pokemon Stadium, yeah. No, not the GameCube one, the Nintendo 64 one. Like, it really felt like that was the next level. Like, we felt like that was like, okay, now we're on another level. Now we're balling out.
Punk 2077, which sold 40 million copies. Elden Ring, which sold 30 million. Hogwarts Legacy, which sold 40 million. These are numbers that actively challenge some of Pokemon's highest selling and highest performing games. Palworld is multi-platform.
Yeah.
It's widely accessible. And it gives people a reason not to choose Nintendo now that there is a real alternative that is out there. So when I see people that are tweeting Pokemon doesn't have to do anything because it's the largest entertainment franchise, or that they're floating theories that Sony is secretly funding and running an online campaign against Pokemon.
It's a proxy war by PlayStation to make Nintendo look bad by making Palworld look good.
Or that everyone's celebrating Palworld is just
Right.
pretending to like it just to spite Pokemon fans. I have to appreciate the sheer Omega level ego required to
It's
believe that
embarrassing.
any of this is about you. It's not about you. It's about getting around you and reaching a franchise that has spent years shielded from criticism, a franchise that has left countless players behind while farming the blind faith of its most devoted consumers by serving them swill at a
Girls, by the way. Girls with low standards.
premium price. Palworld doesn't need to destroy Pokemon. It only needs to prove that there are millions of people that are out there that are waiting for someone to deliver something that Nintendo refused to. And that's exactly what this game has done. And it did so perfectly. It did so for half the price with no DLC, no microtransactions, or no live service. Unlike Pokemon, they make you fools pay for evolutions. What are you talking?
Wait, is that true? You have to pay to evolve a Pokemon? There's no way that's true, right? How do you have to pay? It's DLC? So they bring out a DLC, and, like, the DLC of evolution of the Pokemon is behind the DLC. So, like, it's like basically like that. Like, imagine Charizard as DLC, so you can only go to Charmeleon, like, theoretically. Is that real?
About? You're not even a part of this conversation anymore. You obviously don't even want your games to get any better. And these plutonium-enriched retards
I like that.
are coping harder than I have ever seen. And what makes this all so frustrating is that it's for their own benefit. This game needs competition. Pokemon and Nintendo...
Everybody wants Pokemon to be good.
Nintendo as a company needs competition.
Pokemon.
Anytime any company or service or product is left to its own devices where it has no competition and it effectively has a monopoly, well, they switch from value creation to value extraction, and Nintendo has been running that gambit for decades now. Now, this is when I inevitably hear, but there are other creature collectors. True, but they've also proven that they are not adequate competition. They make fantastic games. Digimon Time Strangers was great. I loved that game. And I also heard that Monster Hunter Stories is also really good.
It was decent, right? And I'm sure, like, the thing is, though, like, people want a real-time game. Like, they do. Like, and Digimon Time Stranger was a good game, but it was not even on the level of Palworld. Like, it just wasn't. Like, it didn't have, like, Palworld is just a much better game. Like, and now you have that Amiibo game coming out, and then you have fucking Azure Primelia. So you even have 2 more creature collectors coming out in the very soon future.
But these guys have not made a dent. They've not even made a scratch, and they've been at it for years now, decades in the case of Digimon.
Yeah.
Palworld left a gaping wound. This game is massive. If you want anybody to blame for your favorite game being threatened, why don't you try blaming the company that left any room for competition, the company that put in the least amount of effort possible, the company that continued to charge you more while offering you less, and then sued anybody else that even tried to come between you?
Well, like, what's weird to me about this is, like, you know, as somebody that plays a lot of Souls-like games, like, whenever Lies of P came out, there was, like, discourse, like, some people liked Lies of P more than they liked, you know, like, Dark Souls. And I was like, great, now I have 2 games to play. But, like, the way these fanboys act, they act like it's, like, an either-or thing. And the reason why, I think, is they've, like, invested their identity into, like, an IP. And if the IP is not the dominant IP, their identity is, like, worthless. And so they hyperfixate around making it seem like this thing is, like, the popular, cool thing to do. Because if it's not the popular, cool thing to do, then this retard just wasted the last 20 years of his life. That's the reason why.
You're triggered over parody designs and the fact that another game exists other than yours.
Obvious.
Absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. It's so sad to see. I would block most of these people if it wasn't so entertaining to see them melt down. But we're not done yet. No, we still got more, because Palworld's not done either. Not only is this their second step towards their success, but this is going to be a continued success. And no matter what Nintendo tries to do, and no matter what lies people try to say, Palworld has become inevitable. So we've been kind of leading up to this, but the one thing that really motivated this follow-up video was the overwhelming amount of disinformation surrounding the Pocket Pair and Nintendo lawsuit. People have been spending years now framing that legal battle as something that it never was, while openly accusing Pocket Pair of a crime that they were never charged with. Plagiarism. That accusation was largely left hanging after the game had entered into early access, open to interpretation, and, well, much of that is to the fault of games media. Soon after Palworld had launched, a huge portion of the coverage consisted of games journalists and developers that were dragging the game for its creature designs.
They're a bunch of fat millennials that love Pokemon, and they don't want to see Pokemon look bad. That's the reason why the games journalists people were negative about it.
Premise. Eurogamer, quite literally just angry because the game was popular. PC Gamer, Eurogamer, IGN, VGC, GameSpot, Kotaku, all these guys just kept circulating these claims about stolen assets, plagiarism, generative AI, and they were convinced that Pocket Pair had done something heinous. Yet once the game had now reached 1.0, every single one of these guys is silent. Not a single one of these outlets ever went back to correct their accusations or the drama that they helped spread. The only retrospective coverage that I could find was from Dexerto, which had reported that the person that was claiming that they had discovered proof of the stolen Palworld models, well, they had actually altered those models to make the plagiarism accusations appear more convincing.
Oh, and I remember that. Yeah, they fucking faked it to make it look... Yeah, I remember that.
Despite all of their reporting on the Nintendo's lawsuit against Palworld, none of these outlets ever bothered to mention that the lawsuit never had any claims of plagiarism.
Yeah, it's not about it.
Their silence left the original narrative intact this entire time. The unhinged Nintendo fans have been feeding on it ever since then. We've been seeing these people ask genuinely how or why should anybody ever give Palworld a pass. Then someone responding to the claim that Palworld never stole anything had said, it's not a stretch, don't listen to that dolt. Palworld's first controversy was that it used AI in the character building process.
But it didn't. But, like, that was actually just totally made up by somebody on Twitter, and that actually never happened. It was a completely manufactured lie. Yeah, so, like, it wasn't even true.
Feeding every Pokemon into an AI to mix and match them into new ones. Another one had said the developer has spoken highly about generative AI in the past. Palworld exists purely to create controversy and leech off the Pokemon
Are we still pretending like AI isn't like a big thing? Oh, I wonder how many years, like, how much longer are we going to have to put up with this?
Now we have people that are, yet again, fabricating images of the new legendary creature Panthalis to...
Yeah, they took this, they photoshopped it to make it look like Pokemon, and then they're like, damn, bro, doesn't this look like Pokemon?
Make it resemble Kyogre, and the media is there once again, helping them to circulate it through articles that
written by the gamer.
perpetuate that lie. Then we see posts that are claiming that Pocket Pair changed
I can't wait to see these people lose their job. I can't. I think we should do a thing on Twitter where we keep up with what they do after they get fired to see where they go and work.
Designs in 1.0.
AI bad is actually Chinese propaganda. It's I think that partially it is. I'm a big AI fan, and I think the only people that complain about AI are stupid art hosts. And AI is amazing, and I think we need more AI. AI is great.
Because of the lawsuit, and once again, journalists are helping to carry a completely false premise into a wider conversation when every, and I mean every, early access game ends up making massive changes to the designs just by full release.
Wait a minute. So you telling me they changed the way something looked from early access into the basic? That's crazy. I didn't know that. You can do that?
I'm going to say this once. Pocket Pair was never sued over their creature designs. There is no plagiarism or trademark case. Nintendo's entire legal attack was built around patents covering gameplay mechanics that they believed that they had a right to control, including...
And they did get them on one of them. That's the reason why, like, so back in the day, whenever Pal World first came out, you would actually throw the ball. You would throw the little pal, and you would throw the ball, and he would come out of the ball whenever you threw it. And they had to get rid of that because of the lawsuit. People don't remember that.
Throwing a ball or an object to capture a creature, mounting a summoned creature, and more recently, touchscreen functionality used to capture a creature. That's why so many of these journalists who quite literally cheered for Nintendo to sue Pocket Pair suddenly lost their voices once the lawsuits began. These cases had demonstrated that while some of Pal World's creatures were undoubtedly inspired by Pokemon, Nintendo was not alleging that Pocket Pair had stolen their models or plagiarized their designs. Instead, these people had summoned the devil and then wanted to cry about what they had done, crying about all these games that were going to get caught in Nintendo's crosshairs and how damaging it would be for the rest of the industry. That is also why a lot of these same outlets have now surrendered themselves to positive coverage. They're publishing guides, reporting on player numbers, and even celebrating the fact that Pokemon finally has competition, all without acknowledging the narrative that they helped create. Luckily, Nintendo has walked away with nothing, losing their efforts in both the United States and also Japan.
It's actually, like, monumental that Nintendo lost in Japanese court. Like, I don't think people understand, like, how big of a deal that is. Nintendo losing a court case in Japan is, like, fucking crazy.
Just due to the absurdity of their patents. I mean, come on, man. Some of this stuff is absolutely ridiculous, but apparently some of it's also because of...
My understanding is that Nintendo has never lost a lawsuit that they initiated in Japanese courts. Like, it's like literally a win rate of like 100%.
Nintendo most hated force in existence, fan-made games.
That's big.
The plagiarism accusation stopped having anything to do with evidence a long time ago. It has always just been this moral excuse that people have used to not accept that Pal World has earned its audience. Inspiration, plagiarism, stolen assets, generative AI, patent infringement, copyright infringement.
Nobody cares.
All of these things are just completely different accusations that were all thrown into the exact same bucket because accuracy would require these guys to admit that they had lost most of their case years ago.
And it's also that, like, most average players, like, players don't care about plagiarism. Players don't care about, you know, fucking the way the ball mechanic works as long as it plays well. Like, this is something that a company cares about. And I understand that, like, it's bad to do that. But, I mean, Pokemon has taken everything that they had from Dragon Quest. Like, all their models are straight out of Dragon Quest. So, like, I don't really think, like... And it's also, like, throwing a ball and then having a Pokemon come out of it. Like, okay, yeah, I could see that. But capturing one? Absolutely not. Because, like, you think about it, what do you think you did with a net? What do you think a net was? Like, you think, did Ugg the caveman capture throwing a thing at a fucking deer 2,000 years ago? What are we talking about?
But none of that stopped Pal World from becoming the success that it is. Maybe it slowed it down. Maybe the lawsuits created some uncertainty. Maybe 2 years of people screaming plagiarism, AI, stolen assets, and fraud convinced enough people to stay away from it. But it didn't stunt the game's growth. And nearly 1 million people showing up at the exact same time 2 years later is proof of that. Power World is not some temporary meme anymore. It isn't a novelty. It isn't Pokemon with guns, and it isn't some early access scam that people thought that they were just going to forget about after a month. It is a defined success with a massive audience, and again, nearly every premium game that is surrounding it on Steam's all-time concurrent player chart has gone on to sell 30 million or more copies. Wow. Those are not numbers of a game that is barely hanging on. Those are numbers
at 40, actually.
Of a franchise that is being built right in front of us. Pokemon doesn't just have another competitor, they have a monster to deal with. Power World is offering almost everything that fans have been asking for Pokemon to do for years, and
it's
then
a
they
lot
go
like what happened with WoW. Is that like Final Fantasy 14, like the games had a lot of ups and downs, but like WoW kind of lost its main position as like the MMO in Shadowlands. And I don't think it's ever really regained that position. It's just that every other game has either fallen off or had some sort of issue, right? Like Lost Ark went into pay-to-win entropy. Final Fantasy 14, I think, seems to have an identity crisis. New World died. There's like a few other ones, right? Throne and Liberty and like every other Korean slop MMO, it just is popular for a week and then nobody cares about it. Throne and Liberty. Like, yeah, I guess OSRS, right? Like that's always like kind of been out there. But like I think that WoW did lose its hegemony on being the MMO. And I think that that's what happened with that. That's what's happening now with Pokemon. Like Pokemon is always like Pokemon's like infinitely bigger than WoW, right? Than WoW ever was. But like at the same time, I do think that's what's happening on a lesser scale.
Beyond it, open world exploration, meaningful multiplayer, base building, survival systems, deeper creature utility, and monsters that actually matter outside of just standing in a field and just slapping each other. It does all of this for less money, and most importantly, across nearly every major platform.
Yep.
That means that Power World isn't just giving people an alternative to Pokemon, they're giving them an alternative to Nintendo. You don't need to buy their hardware, you don't need to pay their prices, you don't even need to wait.
That's another thing too, like I would play Pokemon Legends ZA if it was on Steam. I would. I just have no interest on playing on a Switch. I don't want to do that. Like, I'll make an exception for Legend of Zelda because it's such a big game, and I made an exception for Star Fox because it's like one of my childhood games, and I'd make an exception for F-Zero, right, or a new Mario game. But in a general sense, I don't want to play on a fucking console. I want to play on a PC.
Around hoping for the next game to run properly,
personal,
you can buy Power World and play it on your PC or your favorite console that you already own with friends that probably were never even considering to buy a Nintendo system at all. And Pocket Pair clearly is not treating this game like it's a one-time fluke. They have a trading card game, a dating simulator, a farming game, more updates on the way, and probably a lot more that we don't even know yet. As ridiculous as the premise is, there is a real chance that Power World just keeps getting better, keeps expanding, and keeps picking up steam.
One of the cool things that Power World could do that I would like is if they added a shared space where players that, you know, were part of an area could join, kind of like, you know, the Monster Hunter area that they added post-launch, or like that Mead Hall that they had in Monster Hunter World. Like a player hub, I think would be a really, really cool thing. Like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink kind of had that, or like they at least had the foundation for it. I think that would be really, really, really cool. I don't think they should obviously make it like a MMO thing, right? I mean, no. But I think having a player hub would be really, really cool, where you could go and inspect other players' pals, and there was like an achievement system that was like built into the base game, not Steam. There was like base game achievement system where it showed like what a player had accomplished, and, you know, have like speed runs, for example, like, you know, you can kill this tower boss in like 1 minute or something like that. I think it'd be really cool. And duels, yeah, I think they have duels, but I'm not even really sure about that. Like, that's what I would want to see them add with Power World after this. Like, besides that, I'm trying to think what else I'd even really want to see. Like, I think a higher level oil rig would be pretty cool. I think that also like different, like a hard mode for Panthalus would be badass. And what else really would I want to see? Because, like, I don't think just more content is the right answer. Like, I mean, I think they should expand existing things, but, like, the game is already extremely complex. I guess maybe evolutions. I think maybe evolving certain pals would be really cool. Like, I think it's one of the coolest and most interesting things about, for example, like Digimon. Even though they don't make any fucking sense. It's like you can evolve a tree into a fucking girl with cosplay, right? Like, what the fuck? But besides that, I think it'd be cool. A map editor? Maybe, I don't know. Mega Jet Dragon? Yeah, I mean, I think a hard modes of the legendary pals would be cool. I'd rather just enable upgrades like flying, like huge flying Kitava. That'd be cool.
And then what happens when a year or two from now we actually get a sequel that gets announced?
Yeah, that'd be
what happens when they take everything that they've learned, all the feedback, all the mistakes, and all the money that they've made, and they build something that's even bigger. Power World has already proved that millions of people were waiting for an alternative. The next one might prove that Nintendo waited too long to realize what they let through the door. I am 100% a dejected Pokemon fan. Somebody that grew up with the franchise but became more and more disappointed as years went on and finally just separated myself from it. I don't like Power World.
If they did a Power World anime with the vibe of Chainsaw Man, I think it honestly would probably double the fan base of Power World, if not more.
Because I want to spite people, and I don't make videos like this just because I want to stick it to Nintendo, though. I'm not going to lie. It does feel good to when I get the opportunity, right? But I hope that this somehow leads to better Pokemon games. I hope it leads to bigger and better Power World games and bigger and better games from other developers in the future. And while I fully understand that this is a franchise that wasn't going to grow up with me, and I understand that it's a franchise that's made for kids, I never thought it was a franchise that was going to essentially just devolve into nothing more than premium price slop.
I totally agree with this. And it's like also like if you go back and you look at like Iwata, one of the, like obviously rest in peace, right? One of the main Nintendo guys was able to reverse engineer code entire Kyoto, I think, region of the original Pokemon into gold and silver as well. So the thing with Pokemon is that Pokemon was cutting edge until about 2008 to 2012. That's never Pokemon really fell off. Like Pokemon utilized, for example, like the Nintendo DS. Kanto, there is, yeah. The Nintendo DS really well. They had amazing graphics on the Nintendo 64. Like and I think that the Nintendo DS was like the last, like really, really high quality Pokemon game because at that point it just became super formulaic.
That's all it is. They're just farming the people that just keep giving them money for whatever reason. And somebody needed to step up, somebody needed to show up and put them in their place. And I think that's largely what's happened recently. And I think that's how a lot of people feel. I think that's why a lot of people are excited about this game and why people want to support it. Nintendo has just gotten way too confident in their walled garden. They've largely just not had any competition, not any real competition. Nintendo and Xbox and PlayStation have just been having a competition between each other to see who can suck more. But, Nintendo has just tried to farm nostalgia, and they've had this audience of people that have been locked into their console that honestly in a lot of ways probably just don't know better. I hate to say it like that, but
they don't know. They don't know what they're doing. Don't hold it against them. They don't understand.
It's like, if you're just a solely Nintendo gamer, you're not really getting exposed to a lot of other stuff in the wider industry, and games take a long time to be able to get to you in a lot of cases. So in most cases, the games that you have to play are the Nintendo
Disney
ones,
adults,
and give credit where credit is due. Nintendo doesn't have a lot of competition for their games because of the unique premise of their games, the unique premise of their audience. But what that means is that without that competition,
I think Nintendo's done a great job innovating. Like for example, I thought the new Star Fox. I wish it was new content, right? Like a remake of Star Fox 64 was cool, but like I want a new Star Fox. But hopefully this was just a pilot, right? No pun intended, for like a real Star Fox game that's fully fleshed out. But like, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom, I think they've done a very good job managing that. Breath of the Wild. I think they've done a really great job managing, for example, Mario. I think that, Mario Maker was great. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. And I think there's probably one other Nintendo IP that I think they've done very well at managing. So it's not like Nintendo is incompetent. What's really annoying about it's that Nintendo is almost uniquely incompetent about Pokemon. Smash Brothers? Yeah, they keep making new Smash Brothers. Exactly. Metroid, yeah, they've done a really good job with Metroid, I think, as well. Fire Emblem, I think they've done a very good job keeping up with it. Ocarina of Time, I think they're doing a good job because it's also coming with Tears of the Kingdom, right? I love remakes, but I also want to see them alongside new games. So, yeah, I mean, they've done so many good games like this, and, like, why is it that you can't do this with Pokemon?
Out other games to be able to make that comparison to those games, and their quality slips over time.
They haven't done anything with that.
They just get worse, and they continue to until somebody finally steps up and can take the crown from them in this case. And I think that while Power World hasn't taken the crown necessarily, it probably has for a lot of people. I know that I know none of this is going to stop any of the cope. Half of the people that are trying to half of the people, more than half of the people, are trying to tear down Power World. They're actually just mentally ill. I kind of really understand that now, especially looking at some of these people's profiles and seeing the people that are posting on Twitter. That's just really
people
guys
that dedicate their identity to being fanboys of a company is like, I mean, like, I just can't imagine doing that. Like, you just have to be like a fucking retard to do that.
You're just shaking cups.
Sorry,
Twitter chains for gas money more than anything else.
You just have to be a fucking loser.
You know, I wanted to try to do my best to be able to set the record straight with this video because I thought it was necessary to do so. I have a lot of respect for this game. I have a lot of respect for the people that made it, and I want to do whatever I can.
It's also another good thing is like Power World succeeded despite all of this adversity, right? Despite systematic adversity from, you know, for example, Nintendo, despite systematic adversity from, you know, fucking the entire media industry trying to misrepresent it. Like, they've done a lot. They've been they've been the underdog. Exactly.
Be able to make sure that people get the right message about this game. And for whatever reason, if you have been holding off from playing it because of any of this discourse, ignore it all and just give the game a shot because it's 100% worth it. You know, as I've said before, this game does hold like a very special place in my heart because it came from the starting of this channel. And I had actually reached out to Bucky, their community manager for Pocket Pair and for Pal World, and you know, gave them my thanks and gave them my appreciation and told them, you know, how great it was to actually see the game reach the point that it has. And these guys are really excited. They're really happy with everything that's going on, and they're all feeling pretty positive about what they're going to be doing in the future. And
Winter Soldier,
you know, they took Nintendo's basic formula and they stretched it far beyond what I think a lot of people thought anybody probably would. Well, I think a lot of people try to say that these games are not comparable. You're absolutely right. Power World just does so much more. And while it might not be perfect, and a lot of that stuff isn't necessarily refined, what happens when it is? That's the question that you should be asking. That's the question that I'm looking forward to. You know, Power World as it is already so deep and so complex. It's absolutely absurd. So I just can't wait to see what these guys do next.
Yeah, I'm going to be really curious to see kind of, I think that evolving the PALs is probably the next big, like, what is Power World 2.0 in my opinion? It would have to be evolutions. I can't see anything else that they could do besides that. I don't know really, like that would probably be the biggest thing. RTS, you know, that actually would be, that's a really cool idea, a tower defense type thing. That'd be awesome. Yeah, wow, that's smart. Yeah, fusions, morphing, exactly. Like, well, you do it kind of like, you know how they do in Persona 5? Where, like, you can combine different personas as well, right? Where, like, I think some of them take more than, like, 2 different personas at the same time. Like, you'd have to, like, have a lot of the, you know, combination ones, like the amalgamations, like a chimera.
But I'm also looking to see when these guys start posting some player numbers. I've been hearing some rumblings from some of their people that I had talked to. We might be hearing something soon.
I bet that's going to sell 50 million.
Pretty interesting. Anyway,
I bet it will.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, share it on social media, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Peace.
I like this video a lot. Honestly, like, I focus a lot on negativity with games, but the reason why I try to not do that too much is that, you know, I want games that are like Power World to be successful. And I want to promote games that I think are good games, that I think are fun. And so, like, there's the video. Make sure to like it, guys. I watch a lot of Legendary Drops videos. I think he makes great ones.